Welcome to this month's talk in our Opening Heaven's Door training course. And each month we aim to bring you some aspect of training to help you as you seek to bring this ministry to other people. And our aim is that those involved in this ministry are as equipped as they can be for the situations that they might find themselves in. And the subject I want to look at this month is to help us to try and overcome discouragement. Now, discouragement can happen for any number of reasons. Maybe we're not seeing the results that we think we ought to be seeing. Or perhaps people are not asking for ministry or coming up for ministry as much as we think they should do. Or maybe this ministry isn't being taken as seriously as we think it should be taken in the church. Or maybe it's us, maybe we're experiencing sickness that we feel we shouldn't be suffering, especially as we're involved in this ministry of healing. And once discouragement takes hold, it's a bit like a slippery slope. It can be very hard to get back to that position of expectation and hope. In Isaiah 42, verse 4, Isaiah sees something of the coming Messiah. And one thing he sees about him is this: he will not be discouraged. Now, as we think about this as applying to Jesus, do you think that means there was never anything that would happen to him that would discourage him? Well, actually, the Gospels have plenty of stories of potentially discouraging episodes. In John 6:66, after some teaching, we're told that many of the disciples turned away and they wouldn't follow anymore. In Mark 8, he's reflecting with them on how crowds were fed miraculously. And we read that he turns to them and he asks, "Do you still not understand?" These are the ones to whom this ministry was going to be handed over, and they seem unable to grasp what he's talking about. Also, really, throughout his whole ministry, the Pharisees seem to be there on a constant mission to trip him up. They're always appearing to pour scorn upon him and upon what he's doing. Now, any one of these episodes could have had the effect of discouraging people. They probably discouraged us. But we're told the coming Messiah would not be discouraged. So what this says to me is that discouragement is a choice. It's a choice we make in response to the events that happen. Depending on which translation you use, the word discouragement is used 13 times in the Old Testament. In 10 of those occasions, it's a command not to be discouraged. Again, that suggests that it's possible not to be discouraged. It would be rather cruel to command us to do something that was actually unachievable. And so again, discouragement is not just about the events that happen to us, rather it's about our attitude to those events. Maybe there are two things we can seek to bear in mind. And these are truths that we know, but they can be uncomfortable truths for us. But I think they're truths all the same. And if we can grasp them, then by grasping them, we may well be able to walk away from discouragement. And the first is a realization it's not always going to go as we planned. And the ministry of healing is actually quite complex. First of all, it's about the action of God and the timing of God, neither of which are actually in our control. We do not control what God does or what God does not do. Healing has never been like a slot machine, that if you put in the correct prayer, then you get out the answer that you want. As well as that, there's the fact that healing involves other people as well. If someone doesn't want the touch of God on their lives, or if there's something else that the Lord may have to do first, then it's likely to have an effect upon our ministry. And that will affect the outcomes of any ministry that we may see happening through us. Another truth we have to bear in mind is this, and it's the calling to walk by faith and not by sight. And what this means is that we're called to keep alive a vision despite maybe not seeing it work out in reality. If we saw the immediate fruit of our ministry, if everything happened just as we wanted it to happen, then we wouldn't really need to have much faith, would we? Because we'd be seeing everything we wanted to see. We'd be walking by sight and not by that faith that we're called to walk by. If you've ever read Hebrews chapter 11, it's an amazing chapter that encourages faith. And in that chapter, the writer speaks about some of those who he considers to be heroes and heroines of the Bible. And the writer speaks about those people who are living by faith, even up to the point of their deaths, not seeing the reality of the things that they were promised to them. And there's a wonderful description of God's heart for them. And it says this: God is not ashamed to be called their God. And there seems to be something about this faith that touches him deeply. That chapter goes on to talk of those who endured great suffering for their faith. People who again walked in faith without seeing the fulfillment of their dreams and visions. And the writer of Hebrews says of them, the world was not worthy of them. And of all of them, it says this: they were all commended for their faith, yet none of them received what had been promised. Now, we'd probably like it to be different for us. We'd probably like to think that because we have a sense of calling to be involved in this ministry of healing, and we stepped out in it, that therefore we should be seeing amazing things happening all the time. Well, I think it's true, we will see amazing things happening. There'll be equally times when we have to rely on the truth that we are called to be faithful to what we've been called to, even if it doesn't seem to be particularly successful or bearing fruit in our eyes. Part of the issue, I think, is we probably have a different understanding of what success in the healing ministry really means. And I think we'd like it to be sort of people being instantly healed of everything that afflicts them. But actually, I wonder if that is really an accurate description of the healing ministry. One of the stories from the Gospels I think we keep coming back to again and again in these talks is that of the 10 lepers. Now, if you remember that story, these 10 people are suffering from leprosy, and Jesus sends them on their way to show themselves to the priest, who will pronounce them clean. And as they turn away to go to the priest, they still actually have their leprosy. It's only as they're walking along the road they discover the leprosy has gone. Now at this point, one of them turns round and comes back to Jesus. And he kneels at the feet of Jesus and he gives thanks to Jesus. And it's to this one that Jesus said, his faith has made him well. In other words, being made well or being healed is more than just having his symptoms taken away. Because they all had their symptoms taken away, but he did something more. I think the implication is that full healing is about their relationship with God through Jesus. Now, the point about this is this: that if we're trying to gauge the success of our ministries by how many people have their symptoms taken away, then I think we're probably not looking in the same direction as Jesus is. Because I think he's looking at the whole person and their transformation. We're only looking at a small part of it. And actually that person's transformation may take more than just a 2-minute prayer. Let's go back to this theme of discouragement. God has called us to do what we can to bring his healing to other people. And in that we're called to do our bit, recognizing there are many other factors at work. There are some things only God can do. There are some things that perhaps only that particular person whom we are praying can do. But as long as we are doing our bit faithfully, and I think with as much gentleness as we can, then there's no need for discouragement. The second thing we're looking at is that part of discipleship is to walk by faith and not just by what we see. Because nothing we do in this ministry is wasted. We bring what we can to every situation we find ourselves in. We play a part in these people's transformation, but it's not all down to us. We have to have the faith that God is doing more than we see. And I think the more we can catch these truths, then the more joy we will have in this ministry. Because we won't just be looking at the immediate effects of our prayers, but hopefully can catch a glimpse of the immense privilege of being used by God to impart something wonderful, to impart something of his amazing heart and his healing touch to them. Now, I hope this has been helpful to you. If you haven't already signed up for these videos, I encourage you to do so. Registering is absolutely free. We really just want to bless you and exhaust as much as we possibly can. But if you register, you can have access to all the other videos we produce in this series. But until next time, take care and God bless.